accept and disagree with topical issues. Panorama on Women Radio 91.7 runs through Fridays at 12:15 p.m. Trust you're having a beautiful day out there. Yes, my name is Esther Laribe and I am back with the ladies. And I have Buki Femi Ajala. Good afternoon, Buki.
Yes, good afternoon, listeners. Good afternoon, Esther. Somto, good afternoon.
And I also have with me Somto. Good afternoon, Somto.
Good afternoon, Esther. Good afternoon, Vicky. Good afternoon, valid listeners.
So we missed you yesterday, Buki. How are you feeling?
Yes, I'm doing great. You know, we had to do some.
I know, right? I know.
I know when money needs to be made. I'm feeling good. So let's
energy. Keep it. Keep it. To be a part of the conversation today, 917 or 090-256-25455. You can also send us a text or a WhatsApp message on 070-317-56537. You can store us from any part of the world at www.wfm917.com, and you can post on Facebook and Instagram. And right now we are live on Facebook and YouTube at WFM917. Now, a bill has been presented to the House of Representatives for consideration, and this bill seeks to jail anyone who is found guilty of taking part in a riot. The person will be jailed for 3 years, and anyone found guilty of taking part in a mob action will be jailed for 5 years. Now, according to the title of this bill, the bill is to further preserve the sanctity of human life and properties and to provide specifically for mob action, prescribed punishment, and other matters. This bill has been approved by the House of Representatives for a second reading. Now, Buki, what are your thoughts on this bill? Because when I saw this, report, so many things came to mind, and I'm like, okay. Buki, what do you think?
Okay.
No, okay. Let me hear your thoughts.
Okay, well, you see, it depends on where you are looking at it from.
Yes,
Either
there are
from
different
a
angles
6 or from
or a
9.
9, yes.
You understand? Yeah. But I know from experience,
Okay.
it's possible they're looking at it from the baddest point. From the baddest point.
Well, when we say the baddest point, what point is that?
Baddest point in the sense that, they do not want us to protest. Because anybody looking at it on the face value,
Okay.
that is what you will see. You know, and it's really a mindset thing. It's perception versus reality.
absolutely.
That what exactly are you perceiving? You know, that they don't want us to protest, blah 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 blah. Looking at it deeply.
Okay.
I only hope they are coming from a point where they are saying it the way it is.
Okay.
One, protest is a democratic process.
Okay.
You cannot divulge that out of democracy.
Okay.
Protest has to come because that is the only way, not only one of the ways that the electorate can air their views. There are other ways, but they can air their view. You know, it creates that visibility that when you see lots of people march out on the street to say, we don't want this, you need to pause and say, okay, what exactly are they saying? Can we begin to engage? It precedes that engagement. So I hope what they are saying is that we will not protest. I know what they said, unlawful protest. Now they need to let us know what is unlawful protest. I tried to look at the bill, you know, even the past one and all that. Yes, they were able to put how do I put
an amendment?
No. Define what they mean.
Okay.
Because the riot, when there is a riot, when there is a mob, when there is violence and all that, it looks as if that is what they are saying.
Okay.
But let us look at it critically. How do you know when they themselves have not been able to tell us who are those thugs that came out of the SUV? Who are those thugs that came out of the coaster bus?
Okay.
You understand? Because their bodyguards look like, you know, the bodyguards of our so-called security people. Who are they? And you know, from the people that are close, you know, to the grounds, they will tell you that the thugs, apart from those that just, you know, our normal thug, people, the people that actually start it are the people that somebody sent. So they have not even answered all those questions. Those are questions that demand answers.
Okay.
Rather than you now coming to say, hey, you are going to pass a bill, can you do what is needful so that when you come and say unlawful protesters, we know what you're
talking
saying
about. Oh, okay. So what do you think? Thank you, Buki. What do you think?
Okay, so there's a part in the title of the bill that says, the part you read, to further preserve the sanctity of human life and property, and to provide specifically for mob and prescribe punishments and other matters. See, when you say and other matters, I'm like, okay, what other matters? So when you put a bill like this out there, I personally feel it is and what it covers.
Okay.
Because now, just like Buki said, in a regular gathering, and there was a definition of unlawful assembly. I'm going to read that definition out there so that we can clarify what it is that we're talking about. The definition says when 3 or more persons with intent to carry out some common purpose. Now, that's the ambiguity number 2 for me.
Okay.
Common purpose. We are in this organization to fulfill a common purpose. It could be a very innocent, pure common purpose. It doesn't have to be anything negative. And it also says conduct themselves in such a manner as to cause persons in the neighborhood that the persons so assembled will tumultuously disturb the peace.
Okay.
That again is a very umbrella term. So what do all these terms specifically mean? Now, one reason I feel like it's put in this manner is so that it can carry a lot of other offenses underneath. Because if not, why won't you just say to cause violence, or to cause this, or to cause that? When you say disturb the peace, who initiates the disturbance of the peace first? Are we talking about the people who are gathering, or the people who were initially engaged that responded? Or, I mean, in what context is all these things? So when you think about it critically, like she said, you tend to now start to see a subsection of the bill that gives you reason for concern.
Okay, thank you, Somto. And joining us now is Ibinabo Dixon. Good afternoon, Ibinabo.
Yeah, good afternoon, Esther. Good afternoon, Buki. Good afternoon, Samti.
Good afternoon.
How are you feeling?
I'm good.
Okay, so before you joined us, we were discussing this bill that has been presented at the House of Representatives, which seeks to jail anyone who is found guilty of taking part in the riots for 3 years, and anyone found guilty for taking part in a mob action for 5 years. What do you think about this bill?
Okay. I've listened to Buki, I've listened to Somto, and I'm going to add mine to what they have said, and that is the inexactness of this bill.
The bill, okay.
Inexactness of this bill. When you read this bill, you will have to go to school and become a lawyer to understand what they are saying. And if you don't have anything, you're about to say colorful somewhere.
Okay.
I mean, if what is something, a hidden agenda.
Oh, okay.
Something is not clear somewhere.
Okay.
Are you getting it?
Okay.
Which, as we mentioned, ambiguity.
Okay.
Inexactness of, okay, this is what we are talking about.
Okay.
But reading through the bill, I'm going to come from another angle, and that is what I was able to pick out of it upon all of their ambiguity and all that. I was able to pick out something, and that was the fact that they said,
jungle justice.
Any persons who assembled together as a mob to commit violent act against any person or property are guilty of a felony, and each of them is liable to imprisonment for life. When I read it, you know where my mind went to?
Okay.
Those people who go to people's farms to destroy their farms. And should those ones say, why now? They get themselves maimed or killed. So for so long, this has been happening, not for 1 year, not for 2-3 years. It has been on almost like forever.
Okay.
And nobody has been sentenced to, because they said, you can't take away this particular part of the constitution that I just read from what has been happening.
Okay.
So who are going to implement this part of the constitution when such a thing happens? Because we discussed about it yesterday about Odeda local government area and all that, and how
the
some
people have left
exactly
the village.
They are God knows where. They are homeless now in this rainy season. They don't know where to sleep because they are afraid for their lives. So who is going to exact this particular part of the constitution The section, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not going to quote any section. I just lifted it from what it said.
Yes.
So who is going to, apply this? Because it is said that when you commit violent act, is it not a violent act when you just take your heads and rush into somebody's farm, destroy everything, all the work of that person, all through the months, and then should the person say, why now, Oga, why now? The person's life is at risk. And you said clearly that the person is liable to imprisonment for life.
Just to buttress your point, there's a part in mob justice, or punish those who participate in it, has lent an air of acceptability to this vile practice.
Exactly.
Now, I know that this was in context of mob justice, but it lends credence to what she's saying.
Yes.
About the fact that you practically already know that nothing will be done about it.
Exactly.
So when it happens, you don't really have any hope that if you go report, or if anything, any measure would actually be taken,
because there is lack of trust in our law enforcement
system.
agents.
Yes.
And then also, when you're complaining about jungle justice. None of us here would agree to jungle justice. It is jungle, and we don't need it. We don't live in a jungle. Like, if I is a civilized nation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. But then again, when people have, there's a process. When something bad happens, there's a process through which you get justice. When people have lost faith in where justice should start from, that is the law enforcement agents, then people turn them into where is it now?
Judge, executioner,
exactly,
and
everything. So what I feel that they should do with this amendment or whatever they want to do is to look at every aspect of lawlessness carried out by a group of people. They should not be particular about protesters, because when you say protesters, it sends
a wrong message.
Like, are you gagging us? I mean, how do we make our agitations known to you? Are you getting it? But if you expand it, if you broaden it, out of this, you should have punished so many people, because the spate of people's farms being destroyed and farmers being killed is so high that it is not commensurate with proper justice being served. So that should be what should be their worry now. Because I remember yesterday you were talking about if there is no food. I mean, when farmers are being attacked every now and then, already food items are so, the cost is so high. Then you begin to attack those who are supplying us, and that means we should begin to eat sand or what? So they should have open hearts and understand that they must expand this and let it run the way it should. They should not be sectional about it. They should be all encompassing. If you go and do this thing, even on somebody's farm, you should be so and so punished.
Regardless of who you are.
Regardless of who you are. Because nobody is a sacred cow. We are all Nigerians, and we are all under this constitution.
Okay. I just want to bring out another point. Walking around protest. Because I always like to say, what's the way forward? And looking back at what had happened. While they are working on this bill, they should also look at what is a protest. I know the lawyers, because I've had some of the lawyers, human rights lawyers, they talk about protests, that what is in our constitution, you can protest, but make sure that your protest does not cause maybe violence or obstruct peace.
No. Disturb the peace. Is that what you mean?
Obstruct the normal
daily activities
of people. So e.g., walking on the street and stopping vehicles from moving. That ideally, if you are to protest, there is a demarcated place where everybody should go there.
Assemble.
So, but that is not my point. My point is that they should approve any protest as long as those guidelines are there. That where do you want to protest? This demarcated space. Then we know what they do in the advanced countries. The police are there to guard them. So even if somebody tries to say, I want to now go out of my way to destroy properties, immediately the security man knows who that person is. But but when you now find out that part of them are the ones that are bringing thugs. It causes a lot of commotion. You understand? So for me, I think that as they're looking at this bill, based on the things that Ibn had done, that they should look at it holistically.
Yeah.
They should also make that healthy. You understand that anybody that wants to protest, there's a process. You go get the clearance. Exactly. You have a demarcated place. You go there and let them be heavily guarded by security forces. That's what they're supposed to do.
And to quickly add to what Buki has said, you see, when our president just newly came on board, there was this common slogan, body language, body language. Now, look at saying protest, not when hoodlums are in protest. I mean, commonsensical protest. Now, have we as a government sat down and looked into why we, when there's a protest, there are some steps taken that are not very to everybody, like Buki rightly mentioned, like obstructing the free flow of traffic and everything.
Business.
Exactly. Why do protesters go that route? Because it is believed that if you do the regular commonsensical protest, government will not listen to you. They don't even have time for you. But that is the mindset of protesters. But when you protest peacefully, and you will still gain the attention of the government, I don't think any right-thinking person will want to obstruct anybody's activity, other people's activity. You understand? But they believe that when we begin to stop Buki from going to our shop, when we stop Esther from going to work, then everybody will feel the pinch. They will feel the heat. Then they will begin to get back to the government, and government in return will get back to the protesters. Why did we have to get to that point? So the problem is we are always pulling both ends against the middle. Let the government do the needful. Why the protest? Listen to them. Don't allow them to stay for 21 days before you respond to them. Don't allow things to have gone south before you take action. If we are very prompt in our reaction to every action, even though we are not proactive, but be very, very prompt in your reaction to action. I don't think some protests would degenerate into the point where hoodlums would hijack them.
The protest.
Yes.
Thank you. To be a part of the conversation today, you can call us up on 07000 917 917 or 090 256 This is Panorama. My name is Esther Laribi, and I've been speaking with Ibn Dixon, Buki Femi Ajala, and Somto. And we have been discussing this bill that has been presented to the House of Representatives, which is considering to jail anyone who is found guilty of taking part in a riot for 3 years, and anyone found guilty of taking part in a mob action for 5 years.
May I just say one thing, please?
Okay.
Buki mentioned due process when it comes to commonsensical, using Ibn Abbas terms. But then again, if you think about it critically, using the back end of this bill, you see that even if you want to do a commonsensical protest and you go seek for approval, or you go seek approval, because they know what the end game of the protest is, you're not going to get approval, which is why most of that.
I like how you put it.
Which you're not follow due process first.
Because it's our right to protest.
Let's take this one. Hello, good afternoon. Do you have to call us back on 07000 917 917 or 090 256 25455. Now we're going to be taking this story of students of Niger Delta University have staged a peaceful protest against plans by the school management to introduce uniforms as a way to curb indecent dressing, especially amongst female students on campus. Now, the students also protest the continued ban on activities of the student union government, which they claim is a deliberate act to suppress the students' union thing. Now, looking at all of this, they even went as far as saying that the management has said that certain students, engineering students, are going to pay as much as 30,000 naira for the uniform, and other faculty, students of other faculties will pay 20,000 naira for the uniform. But the university's PRO has denied this allegation, saying that the fees for the uniforms have not been fixed yet, and they are still discussing it at departmental levels. Now, I'm going to ask, do you agree, Bibina, do you agree to this in the decision of introducing uniforms as a measure to curb indecent dressing for a university?
Okay, first off, let's say let's appreciate the fact that the university setting, I mean, looking at the students, is a potpourri of students,
different people.
Exactly. Now, some of them would be happy that thank God I don't need to go start looking for money to
I'll
change
just wear
my
that
clothes.
one.
Yes. Then some other ones, they've been looking
Like you're
forward
putting them in a
to
box.
exactly. They've been looking forward to. I mean, some of them. What I know of some children, they what gave them the morale to study seriously to gain admission is an opportunity to go display,
Be themselves out
exactly,
there.
be themselves. Don't box me up and everything. But then, what are we talking about? If it is a university where that is their policy from the onset, you understand?
Okay.
It is now your choice. Do
To
you want
decide
to?
if you want to stay there or
are
not?
you part of that philosophy or not? If you're not, then don't come to this school.
Okay.
But just bringing it up based on the fact that you want to curb indecent
dressing.
Now, just like we have said, what is your definition of indecent dressing? Because your definition may be different from 1.1. Point 2, what have you done to try to, curb your definition of indecent dressing
First,
before coming out with this?
Talking about measures to curb indecent dressing, I just smile when I remember my school. So from the school gate, if you wear certain kind of outfits from the gates, you're asked to go back home. So you know very well that you do not want to miss your class, you don't want to be turned back, you don't wear these things. Anything that is not going to at least cover your arms to an extent, you can't wear it. You can't come into the school. You can't even wear shorts into the school. So when you know all of these things already, you are going to stay by the rules.
Exactly. At least they should have started off from that point. Then secondly, he that goes to equity, go with clean hands. From the story, I read that the so-called VC actually disrespected somebody who is there's a way we have forgotten differently able or something, and that is a flag,
a red flag
up there, and you are being judged by that. So you now come and play Mr. or Mrs. Decency and everything. Is like it will be difficult for even students to listen to you. So it is a lesson for everyone.
Okay.
Be a representative of your belief. If you feel that I'm all pious, I'm Mrs. Pious, I'm Mr. Pious, let's
be like that all around.
Exactly. So when you come up with it, say, I know, we know.
She's like that.
Exactly. So you cannot be a demon on the left and want to be an angel on the right. It's not possible. So, but then again, I would like it that they start on a softer note. I mean, spell out your dress code instead of just bringing in uniform. I remember there used to be a school on the island. I don't know if Buki will be aware of that school. Federal School of Art and Science. I was a student there. And I was told that before I get admission there, years back, they used to put on,
It's white.
No, before the white.
Okay.
They used to put on whatever your clothes, just like you're on campus. But the way some students would dress up in the classroom, and when a teacher is
be wondering,
some teachers who couldn't even afford such, and you are now trying to tell me one or two things or send me out of the class, all of this self-aggrandizement and pomposity, they had to come to an agreement that we need a uniform. So they suggested
everybody wear the same thing.
White gown for the girls and white up and down for the boys. Even with that, you see their hair.
People will still bring style into it.
You see their wristwatches. Everything except the uniform will tell you their hair. They this category. So it's all about mindset.
Okay.
How about appealing to their mindset? Appealing to their, something in them. Tick something in them that would tell them that, sometimes I tell people, I say, you don't tell somebody what you're wearing is so horrible. There are ways to go about it. I mean, address their common sense first. When you begin to do that, gradually, you don't need to even introduce uniform because people will gradually, just like say in your school, gradually, I mean, the change will begin to come up. But to now suddenly impose a uniform, I've been out of high school. Now you want to tell them to put on uniform again? It's a bit,
somehow.
It's somehow,
okay.
Yes.
Thank you, Bina. But Buki, I'm going to come from this angle. What do you think about school management abolishing students' union governments? I know a couple of universities, and their students will tell you, we don't have SUG, we don't have student union government. And what I know, okay, we used to have such in my school, and we know a lot of good works that student union government have done. When certain policies have been made, student union, they'll sit down together and be like, okay, no, this is not going to favor certain people, and they'll go and have like round table talk with the management, and before you know it's sorted out, or there is this level where
balance.
yes, the balance. But in some schools these days, you hear them saying, oh, we don't have SG, we don't have.
Yeah, it started from the fact that somewhere along the line, both parties missed it.
Okay.
You know, in our days, like you said, student union was of repute. It was a repute because it's a grooming ground for leaders.
Yes.
It's a grooming ground for engagements, meetings, effective meetings. How you're going to talk, you know, to the VC, you know, to the senior lecturers, you know, how you're going to convey your message that there is no water in this hall and we need water. You know, it's a way of grooming them towards leadership. But somewhere along the line, you know, something went off. The so-called guys at the top that are supposed to say, okay, they have brought up their issues. Can we begin to resolve it? Felt I don't have to resolve it. And then, you know, students being for what they are. You know, if they have tried once, twice, and meaningful discussion is not, you know,
working.
At the end of the day, they'll say, okay, we are down tooling, we are doing this, we are doing that. So some institutions, you know, that I think they're narrow-minded, you know, decided to say we're going to ban. I don't see why they are banning, because you see, you are churning the next leaders. You're churning the next leaders. It is a way for you to mold them, listen to what they are saying, engage them. For instance, this issue that is happening, I see it as a mindset of the so-called VC. I'm wondering what the government council is doing about that, except if all of them are they are sleeping and they're facing the same place. You understand? Because they should have looked at it that, okay, what exactly is a problem? There is a problem. Our children are dressing indecent. So can you qualify what that indecent dressing is? For instance, look at me. I was brought up, you know, that sleeveless. When you are going out of your house, you don't put on any gown that shows all your arms. You understand?
Okay.
But in these days and age, I mean, once it's not showing your breast and all that, you understand? You're good to go. So in my own, if I see somebody who's my mind will say, but you know, I would not say, okay, it's not opening any private part. You understand? So they should come out to say this is what they mean by indecent dressing. So we will know that truly your indecent dressing is properly indecent, qualified for us. And then have they engaged the students? Mind you, this is a state university.
Yes.
So they cannot that they are going to get uniform. Uniform for where? They have left primary school and secondary school. No, this is the time for them to explain themselves.
Sorry to interrupt. To interject. Maybe they're trying to create business for somebody.
Is that exactly? No. That's exactly what they're doing. And they should shut it down.
You took the word out of my mouth.
No, I know. I'm going somewhere.
Literally.
I'm going somewhere. They should shut it down. Because why would you now say somebody that you're supposed to be molding, you know, to critical decision making, you now put the person in uniform. You are molding the person into what you want to be, and that should not be at that stage. No. You can only say, you know what, this is our own brand.
Yeah.
For instance, I was talking to somebody this morning, and I said, look at the law students.
Yes.
Somewhere, I don't know how they came about that.
But when you see them, you know them.
But exactly. And they have different styles, different what you see. There's that nobility about it. That nobility, that profession,
and it's not far from their reality when they're out of school.
So I think that also helps to mold them into that what they want to be.
So it's for you to come up to say, okay, this is the brand of the state university. I'm saying state because I know it's not private.
Absolutely,
that is a state university. You want them to have this kind of brand, this kind of feel. You understand, and then talk to their senses, like Ibn Abbas said. But for you to say uniform, they should shoot it down. Uniform, and then you are creating employment money for somebody. Somebody will be doing 30K for uniform. What kind of uniform?
I don't know.
20K for others. Excuse me, in this day and age, they should remove that visa. I'm sorry to say.
Okay, so from a young person's perspective, what do you think?
it's a no for
no
me.
gel.
Like it's not even flow. It's not gelling. It's not
You
doing
restrict
well.
your airflow.
Airflow gone.
Okay.
Because
it's
No uniform.
it calls for mado.
Mado, like
no
absolute
uniform.
mado.
They can come and
The reason is
standards
thank
and color
you.
codes
Just
and
like
things
if
like
now
that.
I'm gonna come from the angle of just like you all of you have said. Give us like a directive as regards, okay, this is what not to wear, this is what not to wear.
Exactly.
So it gives us a sense of what to wear.
Exactly.
So we're
For
working
instance,
with that.
Don't come with
Now,
ripped jeans.
Exactly.
Don't
Don't
things
start
like
from
that.
Exactly. So you know what to do and what not to do. But chances are that they probably have not gone that route. And if they have, maybe it wasn't adhered to. But I'm wondering, why will it not be adhered to? Because now they know that if we don't do this, just like she said, you'll be turned back at the gate. Or you get to class and the lecturer will stand you up and walk you out
From the
class.
gate.
Exactly. So even in school, federal schools, I went to a federal school and there were no rules per se, but towards when I was graduating, they introduced certain rules, which I found very restrictive because I felt like you're coming to a school. So every student knows this is what to wear, this is what not to wear. So you can play around the modalities of it, but you know not to go to the
students. And this is when you are going for lectures.
Going for lectures. In the same schools, they have parties.
After lectures, you can
in
do
the same
anything you
schools,
want.
they have all these other extracurricular activities. So students come to school with all sorts of wares because you know that minus lectures, you have other places you go with.
But
coming back to
one
this,
part we cannot take out of it is the fact that some students
I
tend to
agree.
leverage on the fact that you can wear
And then they go out
and go overboard.
Yes, I agree with that.
They go
But
naked.
these students are adults.
Okay, I'm not saying they go naked, but
Me, I'm saying it. I mean, from my own perspective. No, it's true.
No, I agree with you.
There are
I'm not
some-
even like
there
that's
are
why I
some,
said
yeah.
some
There are
lecturers
some. They
will
don't
actually
care.
be like, "Excuse me, get
cannot
out
say
of
my
my
class.
class. You can't be
Yes.
here and dress that way. You're causing a distraction for
it's
me
a
and a
total
distraction
source
for
of
everybody else,
distraction.
and it's absolutely inappropriate." So I agree with
But
that.
we really
But at the
need to-
same time, you cannot cage people when they have attained that
but
adulthood.
wait,
you can't do
talking
that.
about
It makes
caging
no
people,
moral
talking
sense.
about caging people. Now, the school is going to shape in your character, your person. You should be able to start from the school environment. I'm going to school for lecture. This is what I'm going to wear. You cannot be going for a job interview and dress some kind of way.
That's why I said
No,
I'm in
wear.
agreement.
That is what
with that
the
common sense.
induction should do. But before you even meet with them, what exactly do you want? You should have painted the idea
Exactly.
of the wares. You understand? And then
problem with
them.
this particular
Tell it to
situation
them.
is that the man just, I don't know, is it a man or a woman?
He's a man, and he wants to mandate it to
just
make
comes
it that
from
this is
nowhere
what
and
it
just
is, and
slammed it.
enforce it.
You don't
The fact
do
that
that.
he's trying to make it
don't
this
do
is
that.
what it is, no negotiation, nothing. That's where there's a problem for me because yes, I'm young, but I'm a young adult as well. So you can appeal to my common sense. You can talk to me. We can meet at a common ground.
okay.
Don't just come and
That
say
is the
this is
word.
what it is, because the rebel in me, I'm still growing. I have all this room for expression. There's creativity in me that I want to
it
express
is
in
that
different
time
ways.
they can express
I
themselves.
mean, if I don't do it, then why will I do it?
And find out who they are. Because some of them don't really know who they are until they get to the university.
Exactly.
So when you now cage them again into a uniform thing, by the time they are out, you are traumatizing them.
And apart from that,
Please.
I want to highlight specifically something you said earlier.
In 1 minute.
Yes. About there's a sense that we being in a uniform gives you. It makes
Exactly.
you feel like the lesser person while all the others are superior above you. And if you stay in that environment for 4 years and come out, you don't come out with a mind of your own. You don't come out with a
don't
sense
grow.
of wholeness because you're there and you're expecting everybody to just give you
You're
orders.
seeing everybody
Because
say-
you have this servience mentality, and that's not
Exactly.
what university should do.
And
to you.
and that is a problem we have in Nigeria. You
Yes.
see, we don't know how to groom leaders. Rather, we want to enforce anything on anybody.
I think we should
don't-
begin to imbibe this culture of negotiating with people instead of just giving orders.
Because it's an indirect
Talk to me.
dictatorship from the university. We already know that when you come out there, that's what you're going to do.
Exactly.
And then the people that are supposed to be the supposed leaders of tomorrow, you're shutting them up and gagging their creativity, gagging their expression.
And you know what
at
that brings
point.
out? You know what that brings out of you? If it's like if you have been through a very hard knock life,
Yes.
you come out
shaped in a
not
certain way.
compassionate at all. You come out
Hard.
hard. Understand? So we need to understand all of these things. And see the fact that I do not like to put on a gown as a lady does not mean everybody shouldn't put on a gown.
Yes.
The fact that I hate putting on a pair of trousers
Mm-hmm.
does not mean it is a crime.
Mhm.
You understand?
Mm-hmm.
Every outfit has its own touch of indecent and decent way
I agree.
of sewing.
It all depends of interpretation.
Exactly.
That's why. What do you qualify as indecent?
They should come out
They
and
should
say
do
it
that.
clearly.
Bottom line, let them agree on what
What
their
qualifies as
brand, the
indecency,
brand
yes.
of that state university is.
The man is not even it's not stylish.
and sell that
okay.
and sell that to
You know,
the
some
students.
persons who
Yes.
have he is a professor, so he would have gone through a lot. But sometimes even school start hold herself. They send me their head. I don't want to
Join one or two
I don't
together.
want to tell
But
anybody
they have a governing council.
because you see, even if you want to
Apparently,
introduce
They
uniform,
seem to be on the same page.
if you want to introduce uniform, I mean, look at the law students, look at medical students.
Yes.
It is very stylish.
Yeah, you can just give them like
Well,
a
you
color.
can
do anything to
Yes.
I don't
you
know.
can
something.
introduce okay subtly, do it subtly, introduce what a stylish something into each department.
You know, I don't even agree to that uniform.
And it may say
Like
I don't.
Yes.
But even if you are going to do that,
that.
I mean,
Let's start in a way that
on a
people
lighter
can
note,
even
do
be
you
embracing about that. They can be
understand?
okay. This might not seem so bad.
Okay.
But
Thank
still
you so
no.
much, ladies. Thank you so much,
And then
ladies,
they'll
for
come and be paying for uniform.
On top set.
I
Thank you
beg.
for state school.
Designer,
I beg,
no,
I
it's
beg,
designer
I beg.
uniform.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much, ladies. This is
Okay.
all we can take on Panorama today. Thank you so much. Panorama is where we have the ladies from different geopolitical zones come together to discuss, dissect, and disagree on topical issues. Panorama on Women Radio 91.7 runs from Mondays through Fridays at 12:15 p.m. Thank you so much for staying with us this afternoon, and do well to join us again tomorrow on Panorama. My name is Esther Alaribe. Up next is the Lunch Tunes. At 3 p.m. is Nauma Mata with Esther Alaribe. Good afternoon.
To sponsor this program, call the number 0816 480 7613.